we be in these places where we believe in our head, but maybe not in our heart, in God's love? Let's first talk about the brain itself and how it is set up and why it can make sense, why we struggle in this way. So a little bit about how the brain is set up. And again, we're just going to talk in very basic terms here for our purposes. But the brain is divided. We're going to divide it into two sections, the logical part and the subconscious mind. So the logical mind would be the prefrontal cortex. It's the part here right behind our forehead. And this is the part that has the executive functioning section. So we are analyzing information, we're receiving information, knowledge, processing it. It's the thinking part of our brain, the active thinking part of our brain. Then we have an area inside that's composed of several different structures, but we're just going to call it the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind's job is like to be a supercomputer, to store all of the information that we have in terms of memories, in terms of habits, patterns, things like that. So the supercomputer of the subconscious is very important because without it, we would have to literally have everything pass through the prefrontal cortex and think through every detail. We need the subconscious mind to be able to streamline our energy in the brain. That's the number one thing for the brain, is always to keep it alive. It's always trying to conserve energy. And so the subconscious mind's job is to begin to see patterns that are coming in through the logical mind of the prefrontal cortex and to say, okay, this is something that she or he has done numerous times. I'm going to start creating a pattern. And the more that pattern is reinforced, the stronger the patterning becomes in the brain. The brain loves repetition. It loves the same thing over and over because, again, it's trying to streamline energy to keep us alive. So as it begins to see these patterns, it begins to build neural networks, which we can call highways, or you may have thought of them as just connections or patterns. So as these are built, they are strengthened by the more times that they are used. Repetition builds more patterning in the brain. What can happen is that there are certain patterns that are built into our subconscious mind that a lot of times we aren't even aware of. A lot of these patterns around identity, and specifically the identity patterns around feeling love, feeling worthy, and feeling enough, those are formed without us really cognitively saying, this is what I'm going to think about. They're formed somewhere between the ages of 9 to 13 about what does it take to be worthy? What is required for me to feel loved or to be loved or to give love to others? What do I need to do to feel enough? Those kind of patterns in a subconscious level are formed between those late childhood, early adolescent years. Now, when those are formed, those are the basis that our brain uses to base how to define and answer those kinds of questions. So we can find ourselves in patterns where if we have determined the answer to the question of I feel loved is to perform or to work hard or to achieve, then we can find ourselves in patterns, even though we may know that we're loved, as is, and that we don't have to change or we don't have to achieve. If our mind has been programmed in a way that says, no, you need to achieve in order to feel loved, or we've learned that messaging somehow, we've somehow ingrained that in ourselves, then we're going to find ourselves in patterns where we're doing that. This is a perfect example of the subconscious mind overruling the prefrontal cortex logical mind. Many of us have learned what it means to be loved is to do certain things or to act a certain way, or it's based on our looks, or we have to please other people. There's all kinds of patterns that can be there. And if we have not dealt with those patterns and put in different patterns in a subconscious mind, then we are going to have a cognitive dissonance. We're going to have a difference in our mind between the logical side of saying, God's word says this about how I receive love, and the way our subconscious mind has already defined it.